Thank you, President Reed. It is such an incredible honor to speak with your graduates today. 23 years ago, I was you, a newly minted engineering graduate, and I thought I would be headed to law school and spend the next 40 years of my life protecting people's inventions, ideas, and innovations as a patent attorney. Little did I know all of the twists and turns that my career path was going to take. Back then, the internet was just coming online, and so many software opportunities were presenting themselves. I studied engineering at the University of Utah, which was an early pioneer in the World Wide Web. Personal computing was just becoming a reality back then. My first home computer was a VIC-20, and then a Commodore 64. The computer programming language I learned was so basic that it was literally called BASIC. The data was stored on magnetic cassette tapes, and now we have quantum computing that will revolutionize technology as we know it. Many of us have recently been inspired by civilians pushing the boundaries of space travel. Just as computer technology has evolved over decades of experimentation and innovation, each successful space mission relied on previous stages of development to achieve their goal. Each of you graduates stands on the shoulders of innovators who paved the way so that you can solve the problems of the future. As a patent attorney, I saw hundreds of inventions, and combined with my engineering degree, it gave me a launchpad to innovate my way to a unique career path. I love Neumont University's slogan, "Different by design." My life was designed differently. I was adopted from South Korea when I was 3 years old. I arrived in America with a mysterious large tattoo on my left forearm. No one knew what the tattoo meant. The tattoo was in the shape of a cross and 4 dots underneath. My American parents wanted to protect me from the judgment that they knew that my tattoo would create. I mean, let's just be honest. Tattoos are not accepted in the 1970s as they are today, right? So they had the tattoo removed through plastic surgery, and all that remained was a light scar on my arm. 3 years ago, I drew over my tattoo scar with a permanent marker, and I posted a photo on social media. Thanks to technology, I soon learned that I had 2 older brothers who also had the same tattoo. My father had given us our tattoos before he sent us to the welfare center. He had been injured and could not care for us, and he expected to return for us someday. And my 2 older brothers did return to live with my father again. Someone at the foster center separated me from my brothers and sent me to an orphanage for adoption. My Korean family was only told that I was adopted out of the country, and my father unfortunately died before he could ever see me again. My story illustrates the power that technology has to change lives. When my father gave me my tattoo 45 years ago, he could never have fathomed the technology that we have today. Social media, digital photography, and genetic testing were all innovations that were critical to my journey to find my origin story. I'm happy to tell you that 3 years ago, I went to Korea with my husband and children to meet my 2 older brothers and my aunt and uncle, and to visit the city where I was born. Technology is helping millions of adoptees all over the world find their roots. Growing up in Utah, I often felt different in other ways. I was a little bit on the outside of any group that I was in. I went into STEM, which was very unusual for women in my generation. Happily, that has changed through efforts like Women Tech Council, which I founded as a patent attorney. I was the first woman with children to make partner at my law firm. And then I left the field of law to take a completely different job. My colleagues were very confused of why I would leave such a successful career path. I've created content, scaled a nonprofit, launched several technology products, and partnered on several large deals, and been a tech CEO, which brings me to my current strategic role as a consultant. I still continue to be one of few women and Asian leaders in any corporate room that I'm in, and I hope to see a future where I'm just one of many women and women of color in those rooms. Shortly before his death in 2005, Steve Jobs, the well-known CEO of Apple, who also happens to be adopted, made this poignant quote in a Stanford graduation commencement speech. He said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future." Connecting the dots backward, I can see how I built on each career step to make possible the specialized work that I do now. I could never have envisioned then that top executives would trust me to advise them on corporate growth strategy. And it has always remained true that my college education provided the launchpad to my future career. I know many of you are worried about making the right career decisions. Our first career steps feel so big and important, but the beginning is not the end. Often your first real job is just a launchpad into unknown opportunities throughout the rest of your life. Doubt and uncertainty may keep you from leaping into a great opportunity. I've always loved the character Elphaba in the musical Wicked, and it is so fitting that I saw Wicked in this same Capitol Theater that we're celebrating in today. Elphaba, whose skin is green and who has magical powers, has felt misunderstood her whole life. I really identified with her. She sings these lyrics as she learns her power to fly. "I'm through accepting limits because someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but till I try, I'll never know. Too long I've been afraid of losing love, I guess I've lost. Well, if that's love, it comes at much too high a cost. I'd sooner buy defying gravity. Kiss me goodbye, I'm defying gravity, and you can't pull me down." It's often in taking the leap, that calculated risk, that you will realize your true skills and talents. Many meaningful opportunities are outside of your comfort zone. I hope that each of your career leaps will give you room to spread your wings, launch into space, or at the very least, ride your broom. Neumont University has a magnificent track record of placing students into jobs, and you've already had a taste of team collaboration through Neumont's unique business partnership model. As you apply your project-based learning in your new roles, I want to share 3 things that I've learned about accomplishing your career goals. First, learn to love learning. Each of the steps in my career gave me new learning opportunities. I do not regret any of the experiences that I have had. And because I've been in so many different roles, I learned to value that all roles are needed to make a successful organization. Right now, there is a salary war going on for good technologists, and it can be very tempting to think that you are special, more so than other people in your organization. I experienced a similar salary war during law school. Patent attorneys were very much in demand, and the salaries kept getting higher and higher. As a new attorney, I received some very good advice. Treat your executive assistant very well. She knows how to practice law better than you do. This is true. We all have a lot to learn as we're starting out. I marvel at the brilliance of younger generations who absorb so much information so quickly. When you start to feel frustrated that your team members don't value your ideas or they're not keeping up with your line of thought, take a moment to pause. Stay curious and ask yourself, what might I learn from this person's experience and their viewpoint? Listen carefully, and you'll discover insights that you could never learn from school or from a search engine. You will always create more value by learning how your work matters to business, to customers, and to your community. Second, learn to partner with others to create value. Partnerships are key to great team collaboration. The smartest software engineer in the world can end up being the least valuable member of a team if they don't know how to work well with others. The best technologists have the ability to partner with others in the organization to create business value. Partnerships include the ability to give and receive feedback. Truthfully, when I was younger, I struggled to collaborate with people. Even though I was bright and ambitious, my adoption made it difficult for me to trust people, so I always put up an emotional wall. I wanted to be the best at everything. I did not take criticism well, so any feedback felt like a mortal wound. You can imagine that it made it difficult for people to want to work with me. Over time, I had great mentors in my career who taught me the value of feedback. Now, I often am the first to ask for feedback. I value surrounding myself with people who push me to be better in my work and leadership. I also found that I work best with others who also understand the concept of partnership. True partners help each other succeed, and this sometimes means giving feedback to help each other improve. This is true in our career lives and in our personal lives. Many of you have loved ones here today who are showing their support and partnership of you, so make sure to give them a hug after the ceremony. Third, learn to humanize others. We are living in an incredibly challenging time where information and opinions are abundant and unity feels hard to achieve. Just as in my adoption story and Elphaba's story in Wicked, stories are often more complex than we think. We like to cast characters as good or evil. No one understands binary better than a group of software engineers. But in the real world, situations are not just ones and zeros. Resist the temptation to label someone good if they agree with you and evil if they don't. In my current role, I work with executives to integrate inclusion and diversity into their core business strategy. It is both strategic and emotional work. I'm honored to have many frank and honest conversations with leaders during this process. You'll be very happy to know that leaders are striving hard to build cultures where you can do your best work. Your generation cares deeply about social justice and about elevating the human condition. We are understanding more and more how to build workplaces where people can feel heard and understood and do their best work. Leaders are very aware of these shifts in the workplace, but this work can feel slow to those in the organization who are passionate about culture change. Often the foundation for a sustainable diversity and inclusion strategy isn't always visible to the larger organization. If you're passionate about inclusive cultures, you can help move the work faster by remembering that your leaders are human. They are learning and growing too. Most of them did not have the native experiences in multicultural knowledge, gender identity, and sexual orientation that many in this generation naturally absorb. It can be very easy to judge a leader who is learning in this area. Offer to help leaders learn. Be their partner and model for them what inclusion looks and sounds like. As we learn side by side, we will build cultures that humanize everyone. Congratulations to each of you graduates today. This is such a special day. Continue to use that learning mindset that you had here at Neumont. We've got some big problems to solve in this world. I can't wait to see what you create. Thank you.